Yeah. So what's the good word? Everybody, you know who it is and what it is. It's your boy Lamar Jamal chilling with you on a Saturday afternoon. I try to get these things in the morning, but today just did not allow it. So I am recording in the afternoon. I'm super excited, super challenged because you know what it is? It is the day before Mother's Day, and I'm super excited not to want to take away from that mother's. However, I have to get this off of my chest and out of my heart as we are talking about part two of Mama's Boy. This is the Four Corners podcast with yours truly, Lamar Jamal. As I always start these things off with a simple prayer: God help us. I need his help. You need his help. We have been talking about relationships that matter. Let me say this: all relationships matter. Any relationships that you have had, that you are desiring to have, that you have lost. Think of the time, effort, attention, energy, etc., that you have put into these relationships. And I'll tell you this: if they carried any type of weight in your life and those relationships are no longer there, you feel that weight. And that weight that I'm talking about is the weight of presence. There's a thing called presence. When someone has a presence in your life, they have spoken into your life, you have spoken into their life. Think of the times that you guys have spent with each other. You may have cried on each other's shoulder and leaned on each other. You may have trusted in someone as a confidant, and disclose some real serious information to them about you, and hopefully they were trustworthy. You may ask, why am I starting off with things like that? Because I'm personally going through some things in my own life right now where I'm looking at the relationships that are around me. I'm looking at the relationships that I've had prior in life, and I'm looking at the relationships that I hope to have. One of the things I'm endeavoring to do today is to surround myself around people that are going somewhere. I want to surround myself around people that are where I want to go. And that's a good father. That's a good businessman. That's a man of God, a trusted friend, a good peer, etc. You name it. And so I started off these, excuse me, conversations, these podcasts about relationships. We talked to you and asked you a real serious question: do I love myself? And I ask myself that every day by the way I treat myself, who I allow to come into my personal space, who I allow to have a voice in my life, what I watch on TV. This is a whole part of the Four Corners podcast. Is what we learn or are currently learning inside of the home. Certainly, what we watch on TV, the company we surround ourselves with, who we hang around, and the music that we listen to. And so I'm always doing balancings and checks with myself and making sure that when I come across and give you content and food for thought, I'm following my own advice. I'm practicing what I preach, and I'm taking an honest look in the mirror. Before I go any further, I'm obviously going to ask you, as I always do, cop your boy's book, Unscripted Transparency, the Lamar Callahan story. Listen, I talk about every different type of relationship in this book: father to son, father to daughter, mother to son, mother to daughter, spouse relationships, business relationships, peer relationships. Listen, I've had success in these areas, but I've also had some major failures in these areas. And this is part of my way of giving back to people who I know are searching, people who need hope, people who have questions, people who are at a loss, people who are trying to figure out, could they do more? Could they do less? Do they sit back? Do they sit still? Do I let this person come to me? Do I go to them? Do I say I'm sorry? Do I accept their forgiveness? Blasey, blasey, blasey. All of these things happen in relationships, romantic relationships, business relationships, peer to peer, the whole nine yards, man. We have these falling outs and we have these things that happen between us, and we stop speaking for little minute things that we make a whole mountain and a mount hill. And it doesn't have to be that way. That word that I like to use is maturity. There's a level of maturity in any relationship, that has to be the focal point, has to be part of the foundation. There has to be love and trust and honesty and etc. And I personally myself, I try to do unto others as I would have them do unto me. I try to treat other people the way I would want to be treated. And so, Daddy's Girl, we did a part one. We did a, excuse me, part one of Daddy's Girl. We did a part two of Daddy's Girl. Again, we asked the question, do I love myself, etc. Today we are going to do a part two of Mama's Boy. And I am a mama's boy. As I am recording right now, my mother, who I love and take care of, is right downstairs underneath me. And that does me a great, great, great deal to know that I have a wonderful relationship with my mother, who I value, who I trust with my life, who will tell me the truth and love. I was just venting to her because your boy's heart has been a little heavy. Got some things on my mind, some, financial situation and some relationships that are changing and changing with me first, and then other people will be affected by them. But it's great to have a mother who has been present in my life. My mother did not just push me out and raise me any type of way with not understanding one day I'm going to grow up to be a man. I'm going to grow up to be a leader, a head of household. I'm going to grow up to be a father. I'm going to grow up to be a world changer, etc. And so the investment that my mother made into me helps me to be what I call a good mama's boy. I think there's a good mama's boy and a challenged mama's boy. I'm going to talk to you about some of the challenges today with that mama's boy relationship because of the not being able to let go. When I say let go, there comes a point in a time when a young man, and this is my opinion, a young man, I'm not saying college is the direction for everybody, but a young man should have some basic things going for him. Number one, a job. Young men, we need to have a job. We approach these young ladies, with this particular appetite, with this in mind, that in mind. What do you offer her? What do you offer society? What do you offer the community? What do you offer via your input, your lifestyle, your encouragement, your challenge? I told you my mission statement is real simple. I want to challenge all. I want to inspire some, and I want to win one. I think about that as a mama's boy, and you might ask, well, what does that have to do with anything? Because my mom was mom and dad to me, and so I saw ways that a mother, a woman would be, but then she also had to play, but could go so far, like a father role. I thank God for my father, rest in peace, Pop Deuce, but my mother was mom and dad to me. My pops was, in and out of my life and different things like that. But all of those things made up and shaped, who I am today. And so looking at the relationship that I currently have with my mother, thus my outlook on life to other young men who have relationships with their mothers or don't have relationship with their mothers, I always, always, always question to that young man, what can you do to fix what's broken? What was your part? Are you able to forgive her? Because rest assured, there are mothers out there who are trying to make up for lost time, which you can't. You're trying to have conversations with your son who is 25 and 30, and these conversations you should have been having with him when he was 9 through 15. Things have changed. I'm very, very sorry. You can forget about that time. However, there is a relationship that's still to be had as long as you guys are both alive. And again, that level of maturity where you can come together and you could say, as a mama's boy, Mom, I could have been a better son. I leaned on you too much. I relied on you too much when I should have been out there working and getting an education and different things like that. I was playing around and, playing video games and running around with this person and that person and trying to fit into this circle or that circle. and you've made a mess of things. And believe it or not, when you turn around, who was there? Mom Dukes. As I mentioned before, you ever see when young men get on TV and you watch the NFL draft, the NBA draft, the MLB draft, etc. What do they say? Hi, mom. I love you, mom. Thank you, mom, etc. So that investment, mothers, goes without saying. Continue to do that good stuff. But mama's boy, young man, where you is? Where you at? How are you with mom today? What's going to happen with you for Mother's Day? This is a perfect segue into Mother's Day tomorrow. What are you going to do for your mother as a mama's boy, as an appreciative mama's boy, of being thankful for the investment that she has made in your life, that she prayed for you, changed your diapers. Amen. Listen, as you grew older, got into relationships, things went north or south or whatever, you had to come back home. I certainly have had to do it multiple times because of relationships and stuff that failed in my life, and I'm thankful to my mother that I never burned those bridges, that I was always welcome to come back home, welcome with open arms, with love. And again, as I said, her telling me the truth in love when I have been out of bounds. But mama's boy. So let me drop some things on you. Mothers, you can be, if not careful, an enemy to manhood. What do I mean by that? A young man, okay, we go through obviously school, grade school, middle school, junior high, whatever we call it, high school. During these years, a young man is trying to figure out several things. He's trying to figure out, who am I? Which, depending on, again, what he learned in the home, what you taught him or didn't teach him, what you spoke over him. Did you tell him he could do anything that he puts his heart and mind to, that he can achieve greatness, that he is special, that he is smart, that you're proud of him? Did you down talk him and talk down to him because maybe his father or his role model that he looked to wasn't really about much and didn't achieve much? And did you compare the two because you've seen similarities? Okay, that is definitely very hard for a young man, because let me tell you this, young men, in my opinion, we have a tougher outer shell than young ladies. Young ladies wear their emotions on their forehead, right on their sleeve. Young men and men, we know how to compartmentalize things. We can compartmentalize fear. We can compartmentalize relationships. We can compartmentalize money. We can compartmentalize, our emotions. We could be mad at this one over here, but the same type of group be okay with them over there. And so, have you ever met a young man that seems to be like a closed book and he doesn't talk much? There's trust issues there. There are things there that, excuse me, he doesn't feel comfortable just talking with whoever about. Maybe he's talked with people, and for fear of judgment, those same things that he talked with people about end up getting thrown back in his face. Why am I bringing up these things? It's because a mama's boy looks to be able to have an outlet, and it is a natural thing. I'm just telling you, ladies, you girlfriends, or this, that, and the other. The average dude, or I'll speak for myself, for whatever reason, will open up faster to a female than we do to a male. And it might not even be a female that's in our family. It might be someone that we have a relationship with. It might be a best friend. It might be a schoolmate. For whatever reason, and I think it's because of the nurturer that is on the inside of you, young ladies. Before you even become a woman, there's already a nurturer, that is on the inside of you. When a dude talks to another dude, for whatever reason, I have to almost make it seem like I have everything together. I have to make it seem like I got my finances together. My relationships are together. Whether I'm married or running a household, I have to make it seem like things are cool. In actuality, when you ask a dude, man, how are things going? He might say, everything's cool, but it's actually not. But he doesn't feel like he can open up to you and talk to you about it, but he will open up to his mother. He's a mama's boy. He will say some things to his mother that he wouldn't say to his father. He will say some things to his mother that he won't say to his wife. He will say some things to his mother that he won't say to his girlfriend. Okay, because he wants to make it seem like He's got everything together, and actually he doesn't. And so a mama's boy, mothers, we don't want you to be an enemy to manhood, meaning that you are not letting him grow up. You're not letting him fail. You're not letting him find out things on his own. You're not allowing him to get into some relationships, and when his back is against the wall and he has some hard things to address, the first advice that you give him is to run away and leave the situation. And that's actually not what he's supposed to do, okay? Because I believe, and this is what the Bible says, is that our love and our charity starts inside of our home. And so it's absolutely positively healthy for a young man to face conflict in different things in his life across the board. Conflict with sports, conflict with academics, conflict with relationships, conflict with work and money and finances, is because we have to learn how to figure some things out. We have to learn how to prioritize different things, because think about it. If I'm going to be the leader of my home, or if I'm the leader of my home, and when things start falling apart, I don't know what to do. Well, how are my children going to know what to do? How's my wife or my significant other going to know what to do? Who do they look to? Who do they look to for advice and counsel? And I'm not saying that a young man or man can face a situation or situations that he doesn't know what to do. But one thing I've learned, excuse me, that is the difference between men and women. When women don't know what to do, they'll do something. When men don't know what to do, sometimes we freeze and do nothing. Listen, I don't look down on the prostitute, the street walker, the madam, the escort, whatever you want to call it. No, I don't approve of the lifestyle. Don't be stupid. But I'm telling you this, not everybody's out there doing this and doing that because they just have to have it. No, some people are doing what they think they know to do. They're uneducated. They have no job experience, no skills. And so they get out there and they do something trying to get an income and provide. Now, is that the right thing to do? No, absolutely not. Okay. But I'm letting you know that, dude, you might turn around and turn to sell drugs and do this, that, and the other, but yet she's looked down upon, but you shouldn't be looked down upon. Think about that. Not fair. Okay. And so a mama's boy, you, me, we have a responsibility to grow up, to mature. I'm hoping that you have vision beyond sight. I'm hoping that you can see your humble circumstances can be used as a platform and a springboard. You can also use them as crutches to say who wasn't in your life, who didn't give you this. My mom wasn't around, my dad wasn't around, this one did this, that one did that. I was hurt when I was younger. I have church, the whole 9 yards. We can make all these excuses, and I'm not saying they're not legitimate. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. They are legitimate. But listen to me. You are not the only one that's been hurt. You're not the only one that's been lied to, lied on. You're not the only one that's been used. You're not the only one that's been taken advantage of. You are not the only dude that has assumed the role of a father when you started dating a young lady who had a newborn or a young son or a young daughter, and you stepped in because the baby's father may have gone to jail, this, that, and the other. And you know what? Sadly, dude, all that love that you gave when this dude got out of jail and demanded, I want to see my son, the woman, the girl, dropped you high and dry. That pain is real. It hurts. And who do you run to and talk to? Mama, your mama's boy. And you cry, and I've cried. I've not been exactly in that situation, but I've gone through things with my kid's mother and my children, post-divorce or even while in a relationship. And I lean toward my mother. I lean toward my mother for advice and counsel and different things like that. And that's healthy. Mama's boy. Here's some of the downsides of the mama's boy as I talk to you about not allowing you to grow up. If a young man knows all the time, I have that safety net. I can always go back home. I can do this, or I can rely on mom financially, depending on what the situation is, this, that, and the other. When does he learn to stand on his own 2 feet? When does, as my father taught me, rest in peace, while he was alive. He said, Lamar, real men don't just sit around and wait for things to happen. They go out and they make it happen. That's a heavy revy. That's a heavy revelation. That's a tough pill to swallow, because we can't just sit back while things happen, while this is falling apart, while that's falling apart. And so mothers, excuse me, let your sons grow up. Have age appropriate conversation with them now. 9, 10, 11, 12, what have you. If he has a father or a father figure in his life, allow that man to have access to him, to his heart and mind, because there are things, man to man, that we're going to talk about that you as a mother, you're not going to be able to get that across to him, to get that through him. Excuse me, because there's things as a man that, and as a young man, we're going to experience and that we're going to deal with, that only another man who has gone through things, who have dealt with similar things, are able to teach him. That mama's boy relationships can be very, very healthy, keeping it in its proper perspective. Not overboard, not too far behind. Stay current with each other. Stay up to speed on what's going on in each other's lives. Moms, don't pry. Don't be too intrusive in his relationships, because then you're not allowing him to form and shape his world. Mothers, you should be able to trust that the input that you've given him in his life, the advice, excuse me, the counsel that you've given him, more importantly than anything, the example that you set for him, your voice in the home, your presence in the home, how you loved his dad, how you carried yourself. Did he ever see or hear you pray? Did he ever, see or hear you, and see you be vulnerable when you let him know, mom doesn't know what to do, this, that, and the other in this situation or in that situation? Has he ever seen you handle conflict in an appropriate manner? Those are things that as a mama's boy, I should be able to look to you and say, yo, my mom and my pops may have divorced years ago, but my mother had held her head up. She kept her dignity. She didn't just settle for the next person to try to come to fill the shoes of a dad or this, that, and the other. No, she rolled her sleeves up and she was hands-on with us as kids. See, that's why I'm a mama's boy today, because that's what my mother did. And though my pops and mom Deuce were never married, okay, I watched my mother take care of 3 children, me being the youngest of 3, with every ounce of love and compassion and toughness that she had in her being, okay? And we were domesticated very early, knew how to throw something on the stove, knew how to do laundry, knew how to clean, etc. Our mother worked nights, and I value that. And then when it was time for her to slow down as she got older, here's the beauty of it, mama's boy, we get to turn around and take care of them. Oh, snap. I said, we get to turn around and take care of them. I would never, ever, 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 ever consider putting my mother in a nursing home or passing her off to somebody. No, that commitment is there, okay? My mother is going on 80 years old. You heard me. Still alive, still kicking, still feisty, okay? And has all 3 of her children in her life. I'm a mama's boy. My brother, not so much. And my sister, super, super, super close. But we value these relationships that we've had, that we've built over the years. And sad to say, our mothers and our fathers are not going to be with us forever. But I won't have one regret when God decides to take my mother home to heaven, because I know that each and every day I value her, not just because it's Mother's Day. As a mama's boy, I look to see what I can do to help out. I look to make sure that her needs are taken care of. I make sure that she's okay, running errands, picking up medicine, do whatever needs to be done, making a phone call, an email, what have you, help problem solve, the whole 9 yards. So here's the dynamic. Mothers, sons, look at each other. I'm looking at you. You're looking at me. Mothers, you should expect certain things from your sons. You should expect us to want to help you and to love you. You should expect us to keep a job and provide for our families. After all, that's the example that you set for us. Sons, you have children. You would hope and pray that your mother would be the best grandmother or nana or vovo. You would help them to be the best possible because of the relationship that you all have, that she's going to turn around and now love your children as if they were her own. This taking care of them, it might not even necessarily mean taking them in your home. It might not necessarily mean providing for them financially, but I am talking about a willingness. I am talking about you being willing to do those things if that's what it's called for. I am talking about you looking at her current state, okay, her current state of mind, her happiness, her well-being, her security, and this, that, and the other. I realized today with just the way my mother takes care of me and the way she interacts with me, a mother's love never stops. Her duty doesn't stop. It changes, but it doesn't stop. She still wants to cook for me the way she did when we were children. She still wants to make sure I'm okay and that, whatever relationships I'm in, people are treating me right and taking care of me. She's always going to have my back, front and side. She's always going to speak up, for me and on my behalf and defend me and that type of thing and tell me the truth in love. And number one, prays for me, prays with me, listens to me, doesn't always try to fix things when I try to talk to her. Sometimes you just need to have someone to talk to, and mothers are great for that. They're great listeners. They're full of wisdom. They're full of life. They're full of love. They're full of encouragement, but they're also going to challenge you at the same time to ask you, well, what are you doing about your current situation? I talked to you guys about some things in this video about mothers. You allowing your sons to grow up. That's super important, because if you don't allow them to grow up, they won't know how to make it out here. Okay, life is really short. You see young men who are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s out riding around on a bike because they never got a license. They got a license, but they lost their license because of too many DUIs. Okay, they lost their license and have no goal or desire to try to get things back. Okay, no incentive, no motivation. A man is going to challenge another man differently. Rest assured. I challenge my son in a completely different way, because I'm telling him, especially him now as a new father, dude, like, you are forced into responsibility and all that, video games and this, that, and the other. No. Those things are secondary. That goes on the back burner. You got to take care of your son. You got to take care of your lady. You're the provider. You're the leader. You're who they're looking to. You're who they're looking to for answers. You're the one they're looking to for what we're going to do next. What's the next step? They're looking to you for some support and some understanding about how some things go. And so, mama's boy, time to break away. Time to grow up. Time to step into real manhood. Time to be a man. If you don't understand what manhood and being a man is about, you get around in the company of men. Men grow in the company of other men. Men are challenged around other men who have some things going on, who have some substance, who has a voice, who has a challenge, who has encouragement, who has leadership. These are all qualities of men. You can have them as a mama's boy, but it needs to be balanced. Okay, it needs to be sincere. It needs to be genuine. It needs to be heartfelt. Okay, and it needs to be tangible so that you can pass that on to people who are attached to your assignment, your children, your loved ones, your grandchildren, depending on where you find yourself in life. Okay, this mama's boy, this is a part 2. I may do a part 3 because I have some other things in my heart. I am not stepping on the toes of any man that may find yourself currently behind the ball, as I would say, but I'm letting you know this is a life to live. There's money to be made. There's people to reach. There's relationships to have. There's a God to serve. There's a getting to know you. There's a process of growth. Okay, there's a process of maturation that should be taking place. And let's not just put a number on it, because there are many 25-year-olds that are more mature than some dudes that are 40. That shouldn't be the case, but unfortunately, that's how it is. This is your boy Lamar talking about relationships that might matter. Mama's boy, part 2. There may be a part 3. You guys make sure you like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Momma's Voices Boston. And as always, I'm out. Love you.